Presenting Thomas B. Barlow. Only one man has ever achieved what this gentleman has achieved. He was up here earlier. Kurt Gowdy said it all about him, but in 1950 became the only coach in the history of the sport ever to win both the NCAA and the NIT championships in the same year at CCNY. Member of the Hall of Fame, 1964, inductee Nat Holman.
My good friends, after listening to this inspiring address, these few remarks that I prepared for my good friend Tom Barlow, if I tore it up and sat down, I would say it was a great thrill to hear this man talk. God bless you. You're a wonderful person. You've done something to us that we need very badly today. And while I want to talk about Tommy, I can't help but pass these few words along. Let me talk to you about Tommy Barlow. When the historians write about the history of this game, every one of us here in this room should know something about the early days of the game, how it was played, its problems. And like a class in history, the teacher tells you something about the history of the country, and then you have a better understanding of this great game, which has moved forward to such proportions that it's no longer a city game, it's a global game. Now, about Tommy Barlow. How can we recreate an era that the sands of time relentlessly erases? Thinking back over my 60 years of friendship with Tommy Barlow, the caveman, and what this outstanding man has done for all whom he touched, leads to only one truism concerning the Babe Barlow. The deeds of the past shall inspire the achievements of the future. I am sure Tom can reflect from his full 84 years of life this contribution and accomplishments in helping basketball mature to the international acclaim it enjoys today. In an era when Bob Hope, Bing Crosby, Kate Smith, and other noted entertainers were taking their apprenticeship through vaudeville and whistle-stop cafes, Tom Barlow, the caveman of basketball, and his hardy pro teammates, pioneers of the sport, were confronted with almost insurmountable conditions of the pre- and post-prohibition era, and challenged by the fact that basketball was known in only a few areas of the United States. In the 1920s, society placed the pro basketball player under the same black shroud of disrespect as it did the mobsters of the times. A self-respected female would not want to be associated with a pro basketball player. Playing conditions were made shift. Lighting was poor, while the travel was worse. Officials many times favored the home team. And on board storming Duncats, the sporting equipment and the rudimentary and the roughhouse game, likened to today's fierce, bloodletting, fast-action pro hockey challenges, was a 40-minute grueling, physically demanding contest played in a chicken wire or rope cage. A high-scoring game would end up 26-22. The clock keeps typing away. Here is no other time in the game of life. And I personally, like the dreams of the future, better than the past, I like the dreams of the future better than the past. If I have in this short time recreated Tom Barlow's era of greatness, Tom himself can review the past, take inventory of the present, and with the laissez-beau focus, set his compass for the future, and knowing full well he has done it all, crowned and heralded by all of us for his achieving a great honor, being enshrined in the Basketball Hall of Fame. My only regret is that future generations will not have the overwhelming experience, the humble privilege, and wonderful pleasure of knowing firsthand what a great athlete my friend Tom Barlow was. Congratulations, Tom. We are all very proud of you. Thank you.
Thomas B. Barlow, by virtue of your election and by the authority invested in me by the trustees of the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, I have the distinguished honor to enshrine you as a player in the Basketball Hall of Fame with all of its rights and privileges. Your card, Mr. Barlow, your Hall of Fame ring, and your certificate of the enshrinement in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Let's get a picture. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tom Barlow.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Honors Committee, and ladies and gentlemen, members of the Old Timer, I want the officials here tonight, the referees, to understand that I had no part of the statement that Nat just made about cheating for the home team. I don't believe that. I never did. You know, I have so many things on my mind that I'd like to say tonight, and but this honor that is brought to me, for the first time in my life, I think, it set me back on my heels. When I think of the type of men that I'm surrounded with here, I begin to wonder in myself if well, do I belong? And it was a little bit unnerving, and it reaches the point where I can't think. I'm up in the clouds. It calls to mind an old saying that I heard a long, long time ago. When time that steals away your years shall steal your pleasures too, the memories still linger on, and half the joys renew. And that's exactly what you gentlemen have done for me tonight. It's impossible. I'm just flying all over the place. I can't concentrate long enough to even say what I had in mind of saying. But I want to tell a few things that passed through my mind. The officials here tonight, the referees that I knew when we played in the cage, oftentimes had to run ahead of the play and jump up on the cage and hang up on the cage blowing a foul while they're up on the cage. I don't think any of you gentlemen have ever had that experience. And it isn't a nice experience, believe me. And it's, I ran another thought that ran to my mind, silly, but I thought to myself, of all the towns that I've ever been in, it seems to me that there was always a Greek restaurant, the Crystal Palace. And that's a silly thing, but it ran through my mind tonight. I thought about a train ride with George Glasgow coming in from Chicago to Philadelphia, when a man who, evidently a madman, walked down the aisle of the Pullman coach, and I sat with my hands in my pockets, and George walked away, and he said, "There's a guy coming with a gun." I paid no attention to it, but he put the gun up against the side of my head, and the gun, I could feel it rubbing on my temple, and afterward they congratulated me for being so cool and just talking. And I said, I wasn't cool in talking. I said, I don't even know what I said. The only thing I know is I was saying my prayers, and I had a crucifix in my pocket that I was hanging on to, hoping that he wouldn't let it go. So they're the things that have gone into through my mind tonight. For instance, when you talk about the cage game, actually that's the name of the game, the cage game. Did you know that it was originally played in a wire cage? Joe Brennan knows it, so does Nat Holman, Harry Littman. And the wire cage was 75 foot long and 35 foot wide. It was 14 foot high, and the backboards were attached to the top of the cage. So there was no such a thing as taking your shot and going under. You went into the cage, and two or three landed on your back. If you had 5 good shots in a basketball game, you had a lot of shots. And if you didn't make 4 of them, the manager wants to know what's the matter. You're staying out too late at night. If you gave 5 shots to Joe Brennan or Nat Holman, that was 10 points, no question about it. So you couldn't afford to do that. And they're the things that are flashing through my mind tonight. I cannot concentrate and yet I realize this great honor, and I appreciate how lucky I've been, and the type of people that I have had the pleasure of associating with and knowing, and the fact that Nat spoke about the social side of it, no question about that. I had that experience too. As a matter of fact, the lady that I'm married to, she was advised by her friends not to have anything to do with me. He's a roughneck and he has a bad reputation, so you'd better not have anything to do with him. Thank God she paid no attention to that and married me. And as a result of that, we have a family, and they're all sitting over there. I have a son-in-law, Ira Lipkin, and a daughter, Barbara, a son, Tom Jr., a grandson, Tom 3, and my son's wife, Louise, and a daughter, Louise. So you see, I have been very fortunate. I'm lucky. And to top things off, tonight a group of people came down here from Trenton, New Jersey. And, I know them. I guess there's a lot of kids I played with on the playground while I was passing by and stopped to have a few shots. But I knew their parents better than I know them. And you know, when I look around at that group, I'm beginning to wonder whether the honor should have gone to me or whether it should have gone to them. God bless you for being so nice to me. I appreciate your friendship. With fellas like Nat Holman, that's true. 60 years is a long time, and you get to know people. And to me, Nat Holman was, well, he was class. He was always the same, a gentleman. And Joe Brennan is another man that I always respected a lot. And they accuse me of being a rough player, but I leave it to your own judgment. But you can judge yourself if that isn't so. And ask my wife. I'll have an impartial witness. Kurt and Bob, thank you for a very lovely speech. It's very good. And you too, Kurt. You did a swell job, and I appreciate everything you've done for me.
Thank you very much.